Hi guys, it's Emma AITA, your favorite AI slop tuber. Before we jump into today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks so much for your support. Now, let's get right into the video. AITA for refusing to let my sister bring her kids to my child-free wedding. I, 30 female, have been very clear with my family and friends for over a year now that my wedding will be completely child-free. My fiancé and I both agreed early on that we don't want children in our lives, so the wedding is a reflection of that decision. We want an adult-only ceremony and reception. No kids, no babies, no exceptions. We put this clearly on the invitations and even mentioned it on our wedding website. My sister, Emma, 28 female, has 2 young kids, ages 4 and 2. She's always been a very hands-on mom, and understandably her children are her priority. When we first announced the wedding, she seemed supportive of the child-free rule, but as the date got closer, I started to notice tension. Emma would hint at how hard it was to find childcare and how unfair it was that she'd have to pay for a sitter or miss the wedding entirely if she couldn't bring her kids. I tried to be understanding but firm. I told her several times that this wasn't negotiable, and the reason was both practical and personal. The venue has a strict noise policy, the reception will go late, and frankly, my fiancé and I want our special day to be a break from parenting duties for everyone. A few weeks ago, Emma called me in tears. She said her parents offered to watch the kids for the day but then changed their minds because they don't want to be stuck all day with 2 energetic toddlers. She begged me to reconsider and let her bring the kids. I told her I was sorry, but the decision wasn't mine alone. The venue and our planner have strict rules, and all guests agreed to the child-free policy. Emma said she understood but felt hurt and excluded, and that this was a big family event. She said it felt like I was prioritizing a party over my own family and that she might not come if she can't bring her kids. That was tough to hear. I don't want to lose my sister or cause drama, but I also feel strongly about this. My fiancé is 100% behind the child-free wedding idea. We've both put a lot of thought into this. I don't want to start a fight, but I'm bracing for it. After that difficult phone call, I decided to reach out to my parents to see if they could help mediate. I thought maybe if they explained our reasons more thoroughly, Emma might feel less isolated or pressured. But that conversation didn't go as planned. My parents agreed that they understand our wishes, and that a child-free wedding makes sense for us. But they also admitted that Emma has been very upset and that they feel caught in the middle. They told me that Emma keeps bringing up how our family has always been kid-friendly, holidays, birthdays, get-togethers, and that excluding her children now feels like a betrayal. My mom said, "Your sister feels like she's losing a connection to the family. This isn't just about the wedding, it's about her feeling left out of a big milestone in your life." I felt bad hearing that, but I also knew I couldn't compromise on this. I reminded my parents that this is my wedding, and while I love my family, it's important that my fiancé and I have a day that reflects our values and boundaries. They nodded but seemed unsure how to help. Meanwhile, Emma's texts became more frequent and emotional. She sent pictures of her kids with captions like, "Wish they could be here for this," and messages about how isolating it feels to have her kids excluded from family events. She also said she's considered not coming to the wedding at all if it meant leaving her kids behind. I reached out to her again to try and have a calm conversation. I explained that the child-free policy isn't a reflection on her as a parent or the kids, but more about the atmosphere we want for the event. A formal evening where adults can relax, dance, and enjoy without distractions or stress over children's needs. I also reminded her that after the wedding, we'd all have plenty of opportunities to celebrate together, including a family brunch the next day where kids are welcome. Emma replied that she understood our perspective, but still felt hurt and disappointed. She said she worries about how our decision affects her relationship with me and the rest of the family. She even hinted that she might bring the kids anyway, because family comes first. I felt panic. If she brought the kids despite the rules, it could cause chaos, upset other guests, and put stress on the venue. I told her firmly that if she showed up with kids, I would have no choice but to ask them to leave. I didn't want to escalate things, but I needed to be clear. The tension between us grew. I started to dread family gatherings, worried about awkward moments or confrontations. Some relatives have started asking me if I'm being too harsh or not considering Emma's situation. I feel torn. On one hand, I want to protect my boundaries and vision for my wedding. On the other hand, I hate feeling like I'm alienating my sister or hurting our relationship. As the wedding day drew closer, the atmosphere around my family became increasingly strained. Emma was noticeably distant during phone calls and family gatherings, and I could sense a growing divide that pained me deeply. Despite all my attempts at empathy and compromise, it felt like we were spiraling into a stalemate. I often wondered if I was being unreasonable or selfish for insisting on the child-free rule, But every time I imagined having the kids there, I felt overwhelmed thinking about the potential chaos, the stress on my fiancé and me, and the disruption to the atmosphere we had envisioned. About 2 weeks before the wedding, Emma finally confronted me directly during a family dinner. She said, "I get that you don't want kids there, but I don't think you realize how hard this is for me. You're basically telling me I'm not important enough to attend with my children. And it's not just about the wedding. It feels like you're shutting me and my family out completely. I don't even know if I want to be part of this family event anymore." Her voice was heavy with hurt, and tears welled up in her eyes. I felt crushed. I reached out and told her, "Emma, you and your kids are important to me. This isn't about shutting anyone out. It's about the kind of celebration we want for this day. It's about setting boundaries that work for us as a couple. I promise this won't change how much I love you or want you in my life. And we're planning plenty of family events after the wedding where the kids will be more than welcome." But Emma remained unconvinced, saying that the day felt like it was about me and my fiancé only, with no room for the family she's built. She wondered if my priorities had shifted too far from what our family had always been. After that dinner, I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I confided in my fiancé, who reassured me that we were doing the right thing for ourselves and our marriage. He reminded me that it was my day, and while it was painful to disappoint others, setting boundaries was healthy and necessary. On the day of the wedding, I was a bundle of nerves, worried about whether Emma would show up and if there would be any drama. Thankfully, she did arrive, but she came alone. I saw her eyes flicker with sadness when she handed me a small wrapped box, a gift for the wedding, accompanied by a note apologizing for not bringing her kids and saying she hoped we would understand. The ceremony and reception went smoothly, and despite the earlier tension, I felt the day was everything I had hoped for, a joyful, peaceful celebration with close friends and family. After the wedding, Emma and I had a long heart-to-heart. We talked about how hard it was to find balance between our different lives and priorities. She admitted she was still hurt but appreciated my honesty and the fact that I hadn't shut her out entirely. We agreed to keep working on our relationship, acknowledging that sometimes love means setting tough boundaries while still holding space for each other. In the weeks following the wedding, the dust began to settle, and I found myself reflecting deeply on everything that had happened. The conflict with Emma had shaken me in ways I hadn't anticipated. What started as a straightforward decision about our wedding day had become a profound lesson about family, boundaries, and the complexity of love. I realized that while my fiancé and I had made the choice that felt right for us, the ripple effects reached far beyond the ceremony itself. Emma and I maintained contact, slowly rebuilding the bridge between us. We agreed to spend more quality time together outside of big events, casual dinners, coffee meetups, and play dates where her children could be part of the fun in a less formal setting. It was a compromise that helped heal the wounds, allowing us to reconnect on terms that felt comfortable for both of us. My parents continued to be supportive but more cautious now, mindful of the fragile dynamics. Family gatherings became more intentional, with everyone making an effort to be inclusive yet respectful of individual needs. It wasn't always perfect, but there was progress. Through this experience, I came to understand that family isn't a static concept, but an evolving one, shaped by change, conflict, and reconciliation. The child-free wedding wasn't about exclusion in a harsh sense, but about crafting a space that reflected our values as a couple. At the same time, it reminded me how important it is to communicate openly and compassionately, especially when those choices affect people we love deeply. In the end, I don't think there's a simple answer to the question of who was in the right or wrong. Life is messy, and relationships are rarely black and white. I hope that by sharing my story, others facing similar dilemmas might find some comfort in knowing they're not alone, and that it's okay to set boundaries while still striving to nurture the bonds that matter most. So, AITA for having a child-free wedding that upset my sister and caused a rift in my family? I'd say no, but I'm also aware that the way I handled things could have been more gentle and understanding. It's a balance I'm still learning to strike, just like so many others navigating the complicated intersections of family and personal choice.